in the Building Your Writing Foundation series. I'm really glad to have you all here today. This workshop is coming to you from the Academic Success Center, which is part of Library and Academic Services through the college. My name is Meg Lowen, and I work as an academic support specialist with the Academic Success Center. I'd like to acknowledge that RRC Polytech campuses are located on the original lands of Anishinaabe, Inninawak, Anishinaabe, Dakota, and Dene, and on the national homeland of the Red River Métis. These are the topics that we're going to cover today: professional versus casual emails, how to know whether you should be sending a professional email or not. Sometimes it's hard to know. The structure of a professional email and writing with a formal tone. The purpose of this session is more to give you information. If you would like to put ideas in the chat, you are more than welcome to. I will try to address them as they come up, but I will ask that everyone please leave their mic muted for the session. So let's start with this comparison between professional and casual emails. So professional emails have what we call a formal tone. That means that they sound serious. And I'm going to talk more about that at the last part of this workshop, what exactly a formal tone sounds like. Casual emails are far more informal. Professional emails are sent to people that you either don't know very well or people who have authority over you. So for example, as students, your instructors are in an authority position over you, so the emails you send to them should be professional. This is the same case with your boss or manager at work. Casual emails are sent to people you know really well, people in your inner circle like your family or your friends. Professional emails have a defined structure. So there's specific components that you need to include in a professional email. Casual emails don't have that. It doesn't matter how information is organized. And we're going to talk about the exact structure that professional emails should have. Professional emails are also correct, grammatically correct, correct sentence structure. There are no typos, there are no spelling mistakes or punctuation mistakes. So professional emails should be edited before they are sent out. Casual emails, it doesn't matter. You can have incorrect grammar, you can have incorrect sentence structure. It doesn't make a difference. And lastly, professional emails avoid things like slang language, abbreviations, or other really casual language. Casual emails, that kind of language is acceptable. So let's look at a few examples of whether you would write a professional email or not. I have 6 scenarios up here. As I read each scenario, I want you to think for yourself, would I write a professional email or not? The first one is you need to find out from your program manager if you're eligible for your co-op. The second one is you need to confirm your upcoming team meeting with your classmates. Some of these things may have actually happened to you. The third scenario is you need to set up a lunch date with a friend. The fourth scenario, you've been assigned an academic coach and need to reach out to set up your first meeting. Scenario 5, you need to request an extension from your instructor on an upcoming assignment. That may have happened to you recently. This is very common for students. And scenario number 6, you need to find out from your new coworker where to park tomorrow. So these are all scenarios where you write an email. The email that you write, should it be professional? Should it have a specific structure? Should it have a formal tone? Should it avoid things like slang or abbreviation? Well, there's a few things that you need to take into consideration when you decide whether the email you write should be professional or not. And these are the four things you should consider. First of all, you should consider if there's a difference in power between you and the recipient of your email. So that's when we were talking about, is someone in an authority position over you? If so, then it's more likely that you're going to be writing a professional email. The second thing you need to take into consideration is what's the situation or context, right? So if you're writing an email to an instructor or a program manager, that means that you're writing within the context of college. And college is a professional environment. There are other professional environments as well that you might already be in, workplaces and so on. So you got to think about that as well. The third thing that you need to take into consideration is, what's my purpose for sending the email? We send emails for lots of different reasons. You might send an email to thank somebody, or maybe to introduce yourself, or to share information. Sometimes we send an email because we need something from someone else. We're asking for a favor. So you have to think about the purpose of your email. And the last thing to think about before you decide whether it should be professional or not is, how well do you know the recipient, the person you are sending the email to? So I'm going to show you that there's actually a little bit of a gradient. There's a kind of a continuum between casual and professional. And depending on specifics, you might adjust this order a little bit, but this is how I see those 6 scenarios landing on this continuum between casual and professional. If you are sending an email to your program manager to find out if you're eligible for your co-op or practicum, that should most certainly be a professional email. Your program manager has power over you. You are emailing about your co-op, which is part of your professional college experience. You need something from your program manager. You really want to be eligible for your co-op. So that's the purpose for your email. And you probably don't know your program manager very well. So because of those 4 reasons, the email you send here should certainly be highly professional. The other scenario that should really be quite professional is emailing your instructor for an upcoming assignment. For an extension for your upcoming assignment. Of course, you can see there's another difference in power. We're still in the context of college. In this case, you definitely need something from them because you need the extension. And you don't want to come across as too casual because you want your instructor to see that you're serious about this. If they get the impression that you're not serious about the extension or the assignments, they might not be inclined to give you the extension. The reason I put this a little bit lower than the first scenario is because it might be that you know your instructor already really well when you're asking this. Maybe not the case. Right? You might not have really spoken to this person. You might not have had many classes with them, but maybe it's at the end of your program and you've already kind of established a working relationship with them. So there's a little bit of subtlety there, but definitely you want that to be a professional email. The next scenario, maybe a little bit lower, but still professional, should be reaching out to an academic coach. An academic coach doesn't have power over you. They work in the college situation, so that's still professional, but they don't have power. They're not assigning marks. They're not in charge of your program. There is a support role for you. So it should still be a professional email because you don't know them and it's in college, but you're not requesting anything from them. You're introducing yourself. Next, we have, you need to find out from your new coworker where to park tomorrow. So this is in the context of a work environment. We know that because of the word coworker. But it's not incredibly important information. We're at a park, yeah, that'd be nice to know, but you're just looking for some quick information. I put in the word new, your new coworker, because that means that you probably don't know them very well yet. So probably in the middle, not too casual, not too professional. Next, we have you need to confirm your upcoming team meeting with your classmates. It depends how well you know them. If you know them really well, this could be a very casual email because you're peers. There's no power difference. You just need some quick information. They might even be your friends, right? And then lastly, you need to set up a lunch date with a friend. This is not a professional context or situation. This is a social situation, a friend you probably know very well. You're just setting up a fun social engagement. So this can be a very casual email. So when you are writing an email and you're asking yourself, how professional should this email sound? Look at those 4 criteria. Is there a difference in power? What's the situation here? What's the context? What's my purpose for emailing this person? And how well do I know them? When you balance those 4 criteria, then you can get a sense of how professional the email should sound. Once you've decided that you need to send a professional email, how should you structure the email? Sometimes I've gotten emails from students and the entire email is 1 sentence and it's all in the subject line. This is not acceptable. There needs to be specific sections to your email to show that you are serious about the content. So I have a graphic here showing you the different sections of an email. A professional email should always have a subject line, and the subject line should be concise, to the point, and tell the recipient in a few words what the content of the email is. You should have an opening greeting. It should not be, hey. Hey is too casual. If you're not sure, you can always just say hello. If you know their name, you can use their name. You can use the word dear. That is quite professional. And it is not a term of endearment here. It is a professional opening greeting. You need an introduction, a body, and a conclusion to your professional email. These might be very short, but you still need these aspects to show the organization. So the introduction just really briefly introduces why you're emailing. The body gives a bit more information, elaborates a little bit just with the information that the recipient needs to understand. And the conclusion wraps it up. Your closing greeting needs to be professional. Sincerely is a good one to use. Warm regards. There's probably some closing greetings that you use already in your professional emails. And then your signature, so that the recipient knows exactly who you are. If you're emailing an instructor, your instructor might have hundreds of students. So you want to be sure that they know exactly which student you are. So we're going to talk about that signature in a few slides. So I have an example here of an email. For those of you who like Harry Potter, I chose characters. But this applies to anyone who's writing an email because they have to miss a class. You can see in our subject line, I'll color code this here. Our student has written absence in history of magic class on June 7th. So the professor, when they see this email pop up in their inbox, they can tell just by the subject line that this student will not be in their class, the specific class, and this is the date. That's a very good subject line because it gives the recipient just enough information so they can kind of anticipate what's coming in this email. Your instructors are probably very busy and getting lots of emails. So it might be that they might not open this email and read it in its entirety right away. They might have to wait till the end of the day to read it. But at least this professor now knows what to expect. And the fact that Hermione is not in this class on June 7th won't be a surprise. You can see that we have our opening greeting here, Dear Professor Binns. That's very formal. And here we have her introduction. It's very common to put some sentence or phrase like, I hope this email finds you well. That is a softening way to open up your email. It's very formal, but it also adds this personal touch so that the recipient feels like this is a comfortable situation. And you are being, you're just being very polite in the email. So something to that effect. I hope you are well. I hope summer was well, depending on the situation, right? Then she says, I'm writing to explain my absence in our upcoming History of Magic class next Monday, June 7th. That's one sentence clearly describing what this email is about. That's a great introduction. The body, which we have in purple here, elaborates on the situation. So she says, I have a medical appointment booked for that morning at 10 a.m. Because I need to take the bus to and from the appointment. I will not be able to log in for our 9:30 a.m. class. I will be sure to watch the recording of the class as soon as it becomes available, as well as check all materials posted on Learn. So in this case, you don't need to give all the information to your instructor, just the information they need to understand why you're missing the class. Okay, so she's given the information medical appointment at this time, and she needs to bus. So that's sufficient enough information. You don't need to give any more details than that, but now the professor understands why Hermione can't be in the class. The conclusion can just be one sentence, which is the case here. Please let me know if you require any other information from me. The closing greeting that Hermione uses is thank you. If you are reaching out to someone in an authority position, or if you are requesting something from the person, I suggest always adding a thank you somewhere. It could be here as your closing greeting. It could be in your conclusion. Thank you for taking the time to read this, but it's very polite to add a thank you. And lastly, you have your signature. So here you can see Hermione Granger, Year 7 student, Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, student number. As students at Red River College, I suggest creating your own college signature. If you haven't already, some of you maybe already have, with your full name, your program. Some students choose to put their student number, it's up to you. But you want your instructor to know exactly who you are, right? So they might, like I said, be teaching lots and lots of students in lots of different classes. So giving them your full name with your program will help them to quickly identify you. So the college has actually created step-by-step instructions on how to create your college signature. I'm going to put a link in the chat here so that you can access this. If you would like, you can click on this right now, and it will take you to the website on the college's website that tells you these step-by-step instructions. And then you can add that to your emails that you send out to everyone. There's a little bit of flexibility on what to include or how you want to format it. That's up to you. But basically, the basic idea is there. You put your full name, your title, program, college, including your email address at the bottom is really great. Some examples include student number. That's up to you. Okay, our last section for this session is writing with a formal tone. So in some cases, tone is hard to understand, but I like to apply it to this visual where you see a series of outfits. And you can see on the left side, the individual is wearing streetwear, a tank top and shorts and sandals. And along the way, the outfit gets more and more formal until at the very far right side, he's wearing a tuxedo, black tie, formal. So we can apply this idea to writing as well, right? If this person is going for an interview for a new job and they show up in streetwear, that is not going to look very professional. The interviewer might not appreciate that, They might think this person isn't taking this interview very seriously. I don't think they would take this job very seriously. So, and we know that in an interview, we want to dress up to maybe be, in this case, smart casual or business, so that we can show the interviewer that we're very serious about the job. This is the same idea that you can take with your writing. You want your writing to sound like you're serious when you send a professional email. If you sound too casual, your recipient might not take you seriously. They might not want to respond. They might be disinclined from giving you what you're asking for, et cetera, et cetera. So tone is referring to the writer's attitude toward what they're writing. So when you're writing a professional email, you want to be sure you have a formal tone. A formal tone is thorough. It gives the information that the recipient needs, but it's straightforward. You're not adding a lot of extra information that the recipient doesn't need, but it shows respect and that you're serious about your message. So in formal emails, like I said before, you should avoid abbreviations and slang terms, but you should also avoid excessive punctuation, like multiple exclamation marks, for example. You should avoid emoticons, smiley faces, things like that. You should avoid capitalizing entire words. Words like call me in all caps ends up sounding like a command or like you're angry, and you certainly don't want that. That might be appropriate when you text your best friend that because you're mad at them, but it's not appropriate in professional emails. In formal emails, you should include, like I said, that defined structure, but you should also include correct spelling, punctuation, and capitalization, and correct grammar and sentence structure. If I receive an email from you and there's a spelling mistake in it, I will assume that you didn't take the time to proofread before you hit send, and that tells me that you're not serious about the content of the email. So here's an example of an email that does have the structure that we talked about. This email has an opening greeting, an intro, a body, a conclusion, and a closing greeting, and the name at the bottom. But my question is, does this email have a formal or informal tone? Hey, John, great talking with you earlier on the phone. I'm sending you the contract we chatted about. If you're good with everything, sign it and send it back to me. It would be cool if you could have that done ASAP. If you have any questions, shoot me a message. See you next time, Miriam. You can see that this email sounds very casual, even though it follows the structure that we talked about. Yes, I'm seeing comments in the chat, informal. Good, we are all agreeing. It sounds informal. And there's certain phrases in here that make it sound really, really casual. So the goal here is to add language to replace the casual sounding language with formal sounding language. And here are some examples at the bottom of my screen that have formal phrasing in them that you could use to replace the casual sounding language, right? So if I take these examples and I put them in the email in the box, you can see what I will replace. So instead of, hey, John, I say, dear John. Instead of, it was great chatting with you, it was nice to connect. And instead of 2 exclamation marks, I put a period. You can see some of the language like, please find attached the contract. That's more formal and serious. Using the word discussed instead of chatted. If you're cool with, that sounds very casual, right? So we replace that with, once you're comfortable with the terms, please sign it and send it back to me. I would appreciate if you could have that done as soon as possible. So I've replaced ASAP with as soon as possible. If you have any questions, instead of saying, shoot me a message, very casual language, do not hesitate to reach out. Yours sincerely, Miriam. So by replacing just a few of those phrases, we have created a much more professional sounding email. John will probably take Miriam much more seriously in this situation than if she had sent the original draft. And we know this is a business context because she's talking about the contract. And so this tells us that the situation is a professional one, and therefore it should be taken seriously. So when you're writing an email, check for those things and make sure that you are avoiding slang, emoticons, casual language like that, and revising it for professionalism. So that was that was a lot of information, but to summarize the key points from this session, before sending an email, consider whether it should be professional or casual, and consider those 4 criteria. Is there a difference in power? What's the situation? What's the purpose for sending the email? And how well do I know them? College is a professional environment, therefore the emails you send should be professional. And you should create a college email signature. When you are writing your professional email, be sure to follow the defined structure and use the formal tone. So part of this workshop series includes additional materials such as a tip sheet. So all this important information that we've covered in today's session is captured in a 1-page tip sheet. Now all this information, along with the workshop recording, will be posted on our website as soon as possible. So if you signed in to this session with your RRC academic email, you will be emailed the tip sheet after this workshop is complete. If you didn't sign in with your RRC Polytech email, that's okay. You won't get access to this tip sheet that way. You'll have to go to the website and find the tip sheet there along with the recording. So as always, if you would like any feedback or any information about writing supports at the college, you are welcome to email writing@rrc.ca. I'll put that link in the chat, and you can reach with any of those questions or looking for more information. And I will remind you as well that this is just one workshop in a series of 7. They are all on Wednesdays at this time from 12:15 to 12:45. Next Wednesday, we're covering the topic of claim plus evidence, which comes up a lot in your comms courses. I saw a number of you mention that you are in COM 1173 right now. So that is a phrase you've probably heard a few times already, claim plus evidence. And if you haven't, you certainly will. So we'll cover that next week. And you can see the remainder of the topics listed on the table here. Every single workshop has the same WebEx meeting link. So if you got yourself here today, it's the same link next week. You are welcome to attend any or all of these sessions. I'm happy to see all of you here today. I encourage you to come next week. If it doesn't work for your schedule, no problem. You can watch the recording and you can join again week 3 when we talk about reflective writing. So just a reminder, that's the Academic Success Center's website and all the information that we have, supports and services available to you as Red River College students. So I will stop the recording there. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. I hope you got some good information out of this.